From the icy shores of the Dragonblight to the howling mountains of Storm Peaks, Wrath of the Lich King is an expansion that we all remember with a ton of fondness. Some people even say that Wrath of the Lich King was the pinnacle of World of Warcraft. And today, I figured in celebration of Wrath of the Lich King Classic coming out, I wanted to tell you guys about my experiences playing this expansion all those years ago. The expansion that turned me into a raider, a role player, and even the WoW Machinima guy that you know and love. This is my story in Wrath of the Lich King. But before we get into talking about Wrath of the Lich King, we have to thank today's sponsor. This video was sponsored by Shadowmourne. Are you a Death Knight that just wants to cleave off people's heads while you wait for Wrath of the Lich King to come out? Well, look no further for your weapon then, because the link in the description has you covered. Use this high-quality axe to cleave through filthy Alliance peasants with ease, or poor dogs as they soil their loincloths in terror of you. It's Shadowmourne, and it's linked below, down in the description. That's right. Let us begin by talking about the Burning Crusade. In BC, I was a complete noob. I admit it 100%. I barely raided, I barely did heroic dungeons because honestly, I didn't know how the game worked at all back in TBC. The only thing that I knew how to do was world PvP and do battlegrounds. I did a little bit of raiding in Outland though. Did several raids of Karazhan, went to Gruul's Lair, got myself some tier pieces, but mostly I was just a PvP guy in Burning Crusade, and I didn't touch PvE because I didn't think I was a good enough player to be socializing with these expert, high-tier World of Warcraft veterans. And then Wrath of the Lich King came out, and I was determined to change my fate. I wanted to be a true World of Warcraft hardcore player, and so I committed to being my Realm First level 80 Undead Mage. Did I succeed? Hell no, I didn't, but I came pretty close. I no-lifed Wrath of the Lich King. I wrote that it was the greatest day ever on my math test the day the expansion came out. I got an F, and I got in a lot of trouble with my mom. And as soon as I stepped into Northrend, I was just left in awe by everything that this expansion had to offer. The music, the scenery, the dungeons, artwork, just the entire design of the expansion was beautiful. I especially loved as a mage getting abilities like Mirror Image, which immediately became my favorite spell in the game, and I still love Mirror Image to this day as the best mage spell ever come up with by Blizzard. I absolutely love it. And the best part was, for me, just before Wrath of the Lich King had come out, people had challenged me, my friends. They had said, dude, you've never played Warcraft 3 before. You don't even know anything about this game. You need to play Warcraft 3. I had just played through it. I had just beaten it. I had watched Arthas ascend to the top of Ice Cream Citadel. And now I was in Northrend. Now I was seeing the Lich King. I was doing the quests and exploring the same places that I saw in Warcraft 3. And it drove my mind wild. It was the fulfillment of the vibes and the fantasy that I got by playing the Warcraft 3 RTS at the end of Burning Crusade. Now here's the thing, I really liked TBC. TBC was a fantastic expansion, but me, I'm kind of like your old school fantasy guy. I don't really like the whole idea of outer space, or as I said in my previous video where I mentioned Shadowlands, I don't like this idea of going to alternate realities or time ways or like fighting death and stuff. I don't care about that. I want to climb mountains. I want to fight zombies. I want to descend into haunted castles. That's what I want to do. And Wrath of the Lich King had that in excess. And this is why, for someone like me, as I was playing through Northrend, I was falling in love with World of Warcraft in a way that I had never fallen in love with the game before. Whereas in the past, I didn't really care about the story or reading quest text or anything like that. I just, you know, freaked out at being in this other world. Now suddenly I was learning about the world and I was learning the lore. And I think this is the first time where I got truly, deeply, almost disturbingly immersed into a video game. It was awesome. I hit max level, I joined a guild called Chaos Theory, and I immediately started to raid on the regular with my guildmates, doing Naxxramas 25-man, doing Naxxramas 10-man, doing Malagos, doing Seltharion or whatever that bastard's name was. I don't even remember. It's been a long time. The dude with the drakes. And enjoying the Lagapalooza fest that was Wintergrasp. It was a beautiful time, my friends. I had fulfilled something. And in doing this, I had fulfilled a goal of mine with Wrath of the Lich King. I wanted to be a raider, a real raider, not just a roaming ganker or PvPer that lived in battlegrounds. I wanted to get into PvP. I wanted to kill Kel'Thuzad because, again, I had just played through Warcraft 3. I wanted to see this guy. I wanted to cripple the forces of the Lich King. And it was awesome. The first time killing Kel'Thuzad, the first time going through Nax and Wrath, absolutely blew my mind. To be fair though, Naxxramas was a complete joke at Wrath's launch. No one denies that. I mean, you could literally just pug it with a bunch of dudes wearing greens. Like, you didn't even have to do heroic dungeons or anything. So hopefully when Wrath comes out, they kind of have tuned it and made it a little, you know, more, yeah, a little bit more challenging. Also, nerf Ret Paladins, because goodness gracious, at the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King, Ret Paladins and Death Knights were unstoppable. The expansion progressed though, and I got deeper into reading the World of Warcraft books, making alts and reading through the storylines of zones that I had quested through before back on Azeroth, the Eastern Kingdoms, and Kalimdor, but I never actually took the time to really learn the lore of these places. And so when Ulduar came out, I admit that I did Ulduar, but I only went in there twice, and I didn't even make it that far, because around this time, I had kind of become a bit of a lore nerd, and I even started to roleplay. I had characters on roleplay servers. I was talking to people about the lore. I was doing theory crafting. We were talking about the new Warcraft books that had come out, like Arthas, Rise of the Lich King. We were geeking out. I was meeting up with people at school and we were talking about Wrath of the Lich King, discussing the lore and stuff, and it was fantastic. I loved it. Like, Wrath was such a special time in Warcraft's history. I can't really describe it to people that weren't there, but it makes sense to me why people say that Wrath was the pinnacle of World of Warcraft. I might prefer classic WoW's gameplay, but Wrath was awesome. There might have been things that I did not enjoy about Wrath. Again, Naxxramas was pretty easy. Wrath was the tank and spank expansion when it came to dungeons. You didn't have to crowd control anymore. Wrath of the Lich King introduced LFG at the end, which I think was an absolutely terrible mistake. Even at the time, I thought it was a mistake. I'm glad they're not bringing it back in Wrath Classic. Goodness gracious, I'm so happy about that. But the point is, despite any faults that I had with Wrath of the Lich King, it was a great expansion. Naturally, though, as I got deeper into roleplay and as I was making my characters and reading these books and exploring the lore, Wrath of the Lich King was also the time when World of Warcraft content creation was really taking off in new ways. People like Martin Falk and Oxhorn and others were making these awesome machinima movies, and I was sitting there as a young kid playing around in Sony Vegas and Windows Movie Maker thinking, you know, I could make videos like that. And so I took my characters like Nixxiom and I started to make machinima, like the very first one on this channel, Revenge. How crazy would it be if I remastered this video for the release of Wrath of the Lich King Classic? That would just be wild, wouldn't it? So it was during Wrath of the Lich King that I started to actually try to become a machinima maker, a content creator. I didn't know how YouTube worked at that time. I was just messing around making videos with my guildmates, but it was fun. And it was during this expansion that the seeds were planted that led to the How To Class series on my channel and all the videos that you know and love and watch here. And so as Wrath of the Lich King progressed and as it came to an end, I kept role-playing. I kept making videos. I kept PvPing. I would occasionally do dungeons and stuff. And I sort of became an altaholic, just leveling characters through Northrend on my very first WoW account. And then Icecrown Citadel happened. Icecrown Citadel. Admittingly, I never expected Blizzard to actually kill Arthas. I didn't think they would do this to him, just because of all the established lore behind him. And I admit that I was so much of a lore fanboy and an Arthas fanboy that I refused to go into Icecrown Citadel. I refused to raid, and I refused to kill the Lich King, my favorite character. And to this day, I've never properly done the Lich King fight with a raid group, other than just going and trying to farm Invincible. I never really understood why they called it Invincible. I can see it. I never got to experience breaking Frostmourne. I never got to experience that ending cutscene cinematic. I never got to do that with a guild. And so with the release of Wrath of the Lich King Classic on the way, I'm going to tell you guys a few things. There's a lot that I'm looking forward to with the re-release of this expansion. I can't wait to go to Northrend again. I can't wait to be wearing tabards and grinding reputation by doing dungeons. I can't wait to kill Malagos, go through Naxxramas again, see Ulduar properly, and do the Argent tournament. Most of all, though, I just can't wait to kill the Lich King. Because although I am a Lich King fanboy, I think it's about that time. It's about that time that Nixxiom paid Arthas a visit, if you know what I mean. Yes, I'll play Dragonflight. Yes, in many ways I'm excited for it. But I am hyped to play Wrath of the Lich King again. It might not be my favorite time period of WoW. That would be classic WoW. But Wrath of the Lich King is just an incredible expansion with an incredible storyline, an incredible immersive environment. It has so many memories attached to it for me. Getting into Machinima for the first time, finally becoming a raider, and just fulfilling that story that Warcraft 3 left us off at. Guys, I don't know what you thought about Wrath of the Lich King, but hopefully you're as excited as I am. If you have a story you want to share about the good old days of this expansion, please leave it in a comment below, and I will see you all with my next video where, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about something. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.